Welcome to the GCSE Music NEA submission support session. We'll be covering submitting marks in Edexcel Online, identifying your sample, logging in and navigating in Learner Work Transfer, managing requests in Learner Work Transfer, supported file types, file sizes and naming convention. So to have a look at submitting marks in Edexcel Online, you need the coursework and portfolio permission on your Edexcel Online account to be able to submit marks in Edexcel Online. Your exams officer can set this up for you or enter the marks for you. You will need to enter marks for your whole cohort in Edexcel Online. If you go to edexcelonline.pearson.com and use your username and password to log in, you will then be prompted to use the Pearson Authenticator app to use the authentication code for multi-factor authentication. This will log you into Edexcel Online. Once in Edexcel Online, you will need to select the qualification from the drop-down menu. Once you've done that, you will need to select Candidate and search by course. This will take you through to a new screen where you can select the series. At this point, you might need to allow pop-ups in your web browser and then refresh the page. If the window doesn't open, that's when you need to do it. Otherwise, a pop-up window will appear with a list of components for your centre. And at this point, you need to click on Papers next to the relevant unit in this window. Once through to the next screen, you should have the option to click on coursework marks. If you don't have this option, this is where you need the coursework and portfolio permission from your exams officer to be able to enter the coursework marks. Enter the marks and click Submit Marks to complete the process. Your sample will have green ticks to their name, and the sample will also appear in Learner Work Transfer. So having a look at Learner Work Transfer, so you'll need to log in and navigate in LWT. First, you need to go to Edexcel Online, and in the menu on the left hand side of the screen you should have an option for Learner Work Transfer. If you navigate to this, hover over it, and you should have the two options appear. You need to select Examination and Moderation. This should take you through to the landing page of LWT, which is a to-do page. This is the first page that you'll see when logging in to LWT. You should see a list of some units that have requests for your centre. It won't show every unit, but you'll be able to filter that in a bit, and we'll go through that. There's several tabs on here where you can filter and search by specific things, such as to do, in progress or completed, and switch between examination and moderation. If you don't see the component or the unit, you can use the search function. So you can filter by the status and by using the component code. So in GCSE's case, that's 1MU0. That should then bring up a list of the components linked to that search that you have, and you can then look at that unit. You can also select moderation to filter by moderated components, which is what we need for GCSE music. And once started, a component will change status from new to in progress. So if you've started uploading material and have logged out, you'll need to come back and find it in the in progress tab. It won't appear in the to do tab. And once you've submitted the component in LWT, it will show under the completed tab. To look and manage requests, you need to go into View Learners by doing that, you need to go to the end of the component and click on the three dots. That should come up with the option to view learners, and if you click on that, that will take you through to the next screen, which will have a list of learners. It should show the sample set by Pearson. You can upload files for a learner by either dragging and dropping or clicking on the browse option. That will then take you through to a window where you can navigate to where your files are stored and select either one or multiple files to upload for that learner. Uploaded files will then turn to an uploaded state. This means that the file is being checked for viruses to ensure that it isn't password protected and to see if it is an accepted file type. If you click on the submit request button before the file checks have completed, you should come back on the following day to confirm that the request was actually submitted successfully. If it wasn't, it will show as not submitted on the In Progress tab of the moderation dashboard. It will then show you the reasons why and why that might have not submitted. If you log out of the system or exit the window, close it down, the checks continue in the background, so you can upload the files, leave it, come away later and then check to see if all the files have uploaded okay and been accepted. If checks are successful, the file will show as accepted, and that will be written below the file name. If it's not successful, the file will show as rejected, and you can hover over the warning icon next to where it says rejected, and that should give you the reason why the file was rejected. You can click on the X next to the file name to remove the file and upload a new file in its place. The moderation sample must include the highest and lowest marked candidate for the component, and if they aren't included in the sample, you will need to add them to the sample requested. To do this, you go to the Select Manage Learners option at the top of the page. You can then use the tick boxes to select the learners to add to the sample. If you click Save, a confirmation window will appear, and then you can click back to learners to return to the sample request. You can also upload a shared file, which can be assigned to several learners by dropping files under the shared file section. This works in the same way as uploading files for individual learners, so you can drag and drop or click the browse function. Once the file is accepted, you can click on the three dots at the end of the section and select Manage Shared Files. You can use the drop-down menu to select the file and see a list of the available learners. You can then use the tick boxes to select the learners that you want associated with that file and then click Save. Once you've done that, you can select Back to View Learners to return to the moderation sample. If a learner was absent, then you can change their status to absent, or if a learner's work is unavailable due to special consideration or other matters, then you can change the status to no evidence. Once you've uploaded one piece of evidence or marked learners as absent or no evidence, you'll have the option to submit request. Only click this after you've uploaded all the evidence for all learners, or marked them as absent or no evidence, because if you do this before you've uploaded, you won't be able to amend the request after it's been submitted. So make sure that all the files you need to upload are under each learner or associated with each learner, or you've marked them as absent or no evidence. You can then click the Submit Request button. You'll get a confirmation box appear where you'll need to click OK, and then that confirms the submission, and that will go through to the other end of the system where the moderator can access the files. If there is a problem that the moderator spots, they can actually return the request to you, and that will then appear under the in progress tab again, and you'll have instructions of what you need to do to change that to submission and then send that back to the moderator. So here is a list of supported files within LWT. So for music, there are a range of audio file types, video file types, and then we would probably only be using the document file types as well. And that should cover all of the options that you need in terms of the files that you will be submitting. Just as a word of warning, there is a maximum file size of 8 GB. For music submissions, that shouldn't particularly impact unless it is a particularly large video file that you're submitting. So LWT will reject any file larger than 8 GB, and the advice is, if possible, split it into multiple files so that it doesn't reach the 8 GB limit. So for the submission of the material, here are the naming conventions that you're requested to use for each file type. So these are the file names for performing. It is requested that if you are submitting the scores, to keep them as one file for each performance. So you'd have a file for the solo score and the ensemble score as separate files, with the multiple pages in each file. If it isn't possible to do that, then you would need to follow the advice there and number the files to make the pages in order. But if you can, please use just the one file for each performance. And it's the similar advice for composition there. So it's the naming conventions, obviously with the free composition and the set brief composition, they have the additional FC or SB. And again, the same advice in terms of the multiple pages of the score, but please do try and submit a single file for each composition score. Here are my contact details, so if you do need to ask any further questions, you can email me, call, or you can make an appointment, which is a video call with me as well. I hope you found this session useful and wish you and your learners all the best for the summer series.